So this is going to be a complete guide for playing Pokemon Unite, whether you are fairly new to the game or whether you are, you know, semi-advanced. Everything's going to be timestamped at the bottom of the video. So without wasting any time, let's get into our first thing, which is using your settings and setting up your settings properly. Please don't skip over this part, right? Your system settings, frame rate, it's on high. There's no negotiation here. And moving on to our controls here. Your opponent lock on priority. I personally think it's best on the HP percentage remaining as lowest. However, this is kind of dependent on the Pokemon that you're using and your particular playstyle. Attack controls, it should be on advanced. It's not really advanced. It's you hold A to click enemies, you hold B to click farm. That's not really advanced. You absolutely have to be playing with this on. Otherwise, you are not able to distinguish whether you're hitting a piece of farm or an enemy when you're holding your auto attack button. So you absolutely must have this on. Now, these two here, automatic basic attacks and in motion pursuit, turn them both off, right? I do believe that they're both on. They should be off, man. They should be off. Now, the reason that you want them off is because when you're holding the A button or the B button, when you're moving around the map, you're going to get caught on walls and you're going to get caught on, like, you know, certain terrain of the map and stuff like that. And you just don't want it to happen because it can put you in a very tricky situation, or it can make you half a second late to somewhere, and you just shouldn't be somewhere half a second late purely because of how your settings are set up. It also makes for a smoother game as well. So I just turn these two off. Scoring, this is personal preference. I should have it as press button. Press button is better. That way you can just press it, you know, rather than having to hold the button down. I don't know. Personal preference, I would probably keep it on press button. Lock on icon, no, keep it off. Now you move panel sensitivity, you want to shuffle this like maybe at like 3/4, 60%. But if you're fairly new, you might want to move that down a little bit. Camera follows moves. I would keep this on. I think it's very nice. Move aim follows the movement direction. I'd turn that off. Automatically lock onto targets. This is a tricky one. I'd keep it on because it helps a lot of the time. But if you're using a Pokemon like Talonflame with acrobatics, or if you're using Mew and you want to use your light screen in a certain direction, it's going to automatically put it towards the enemy. So this can be annoying. But I think a rule of thumb, like, it helps aim some of your skills. So I would keep it on. Learning moves doesn't really matter. This camera sensitivity, we're going to bump it up a little bit because you want to be able to move around the map easily enough. Yeah, so all of your sensitivities, you want them at like 60-odd%, right? Get used to moving around, like having your map move around and stuff quicker. You don't want to spend like half a second extra moving a map to see what's happening around the map. Just learn how to control it a little bit better. Okay, battle info. This is honestly, a lot of this is going to be personal preference, but there are a couple non-negotiations here. Show trainer name. Generally, I keep it on just because I like to know who I'm versing and who I'm playing with and stuff like that. Boosted auto gauge, keep that on. Show decimal cooldown, keep that on, right? You want to know the instance when your skills are going to be on cooldown, and you want to know whether you're using a boosted auto or not. So these two absolutely should be on. Okay, quick chat. Turn thanks off, get rid of thanks, right? Just remove it completely. Keep it positive and maybe keep one or two. You know, I don't really use in-game pings that much. I'll use the bottom one, we're outnumbered, avoid fighting, if I see someone on our team backcapping, and watch out when I know that the enemy jungler is ganking our lane. Otherwise, you can do it, and let's keep pushing to the end. They're just positive pings to pump the team up a little bit, right? There's not enough of it, so keep it positive. And that's all there is for settings. So the next thing I want to talk about is the builds that you're using with your Pokemon, right? What items should I be running? What battle items should I hold and stuff like that? So if you go to Pokemon, you can see on Hooper, I run an EXP share, a muscle band, and a resonant guard. And the battle item that I use is an eject button. How do I know if it's good? How do I know if I should be running something else? Am I cooking too much? Like, should I be doing something different? The best way to answer that question is you go to this website. It's called Unite DB. It'll be in the link of the description. You can click on any Pokemon here. So if we go to Hooper, right, we'll go to Hooper and you can see this is the exact build. I'm using that exact build, except I've actually got an eject rather than an X speed. EXP share, muscle band, and resonant guard, right? And this is if you're using this particular skill set, right? This is a fantastic resource, by the way. It tells you exactly what all the skills do in nice detail. It tells you how much damage they do. Yeah, it's a phenomenal resource. So if you're trying to understand a Pokemon, then you should absolutely be using this resource here. Okay, and you can see it also gives you some of the world champion LG, Luminosity Gaming, right? Elo was their support player, so he's got his own, I guess, build here featured on UnitedDB, which is pretty cool. If you want to play like the world champions, then you can go ahead. You can see that's only different with the Rapid Fire versus the Resonant Guard. I think at the time, I don't think Resonant Guard was released when Worlds was out. So, okay, and the next part of this conversation is, what is the emblem build that I should be using? Well, I think you just stick to what UnitedDB give you as an emblem build, right? You can see they say, this is what you should be using with Hooper. Run these ones. It's essentially 7 red, 4 white. Personally, I don't even use these emblem builds. I just use a fairly stock standard, just white and green. Emblems aren't, honestly, they don't make that big of a deal. And honestly, emblems aren't even that big of a deal. You're actually not allowed to use emblems when you're playing competitively. So if you're looking at playing competitively rather than just on ranked and ladder and stuff like that, you probably want to get used to playing without emblems on, right? A lot of competitive players don't play with emblems, right? So this is why I say when I get people comment and say, what emblem should I be running? I say, it doesn't matter. To be honest, you probably shouldn't be running emblems in the first place if you're going to play competitive. But yeah, they're not that big of a deal. But if you want to know what is the optimum, the emblem build, go to UnitedDB. These guys do the math, they crunch the numbers, and they come up with it, right? And it's not just one person, it's a group of them. So they're very, very smart people, and we should pay our respects to the resources that they give us, right? We should use it because it is mathematically correct. Okay, third part of this course is going to be understanding your character. Now, if you're starting to play Pokemon Unite, just niche down on one character, right? Or maybe 2 or 3 characters. You don't want to try and understand everything. Understanding how each Pokemon plays takes a very, very long time. So, for example, we're going to have a look at Sylveon. And what exactly does Sylveon do, right? We can see we've got these builds here. This is the build that I like using the most. It is Muscle Band, Slick Spoon, and Focus Band. I run it with a potion, but they're saying run it with a X Speed. That's because I'm a bit of a solo queue player when I play this build, right? Okay, but let's have a look at this, right? So you can see there's 2 abilities here, right? One of them is for Eevee though, and one of them is for Sylveon, right? So you can read these abilities, you can understand what this Pokemon does. Sylveon has a passive ability, so it's occurring anytime, right? Its special attack and special defense is increased by 2.5%, stacking up to 6 times, right? And so it's got a cooldown of 1.5 seconds. So if you're not in combat, an active combat, taking or dealing damage, right, you're going to lose those stacks. So that's a pretty cool ability to have, because if you understand that, then hey, if I'm playing Sylveon, there's a good chance I can run at other special attacking Pokemon and do really well. Now the question is, well, how do I know whether a Pokemon is special attacking or physical attacking? Well, this is fairly easy. If you go to UnitedDB, the special attacking, you can filter by it, and physical attacking, you can filter by it. You can also filter by melee or range and everything like that. Okay. You can also look at what the boosted autos do, right? With Sylveon, when you hit a boosted auto, you get increased movement speed, which is really, really nice. How much damage does it do? Well, the non-boosted auto attacks are based off of the attack stat, so they're pretty much going to do not much damage, whereas the boosted is based off the special attack, right? But you can see the ratio is not that much there, right? It's all based on all the damage is really coming from the base damage, right? Even as you scale up, this damage, it's mostly coming from your slider and your base. So it's probably not worth investing items to get extra attack with that particular part of Sylveon, right? And when you understand that, then you can understand why the builds are the way that they are. Now, the next part of this course is going to be understanding the map, the levels, the experience, and everything like that. So first things first, let's just jump back over here. There are a couple of things. There are 15 levels in Pokemon Unite. Okay, you go from level 1 to level 15, and it becomes increasingly more difficult to level up because it takes more experience. Well, how do you get the experience? Well, you need to attack wild Pokemon. So you'll know when you go into a game, like sometimes there is bees up in this top lane here. There is bumblebees in the lane, right? This is a wild Pokemon experience that you can be securing. Now, the map of Pokemon Unite, there's a top lane, there's a bottom lane, and there's a jungle. One person goes to the jungle, and if someone calls it, generally you just let them take the jungle. It's not worth having a big stinking fight over, you know, trying to take the jungle off your teammate, because it's really not fair on your other three teammates. So generally it's like first and best dressed, but I think it's more fun in this game to lane, right? So generally, this is how the lanes are going to be formulated. You want to have a support Pokemon and kind of like a melee damaging carry. So you might have something, and generally you want to use Pokemon in lane that spike early, right, rather than scale late. So using a Tyranitar in the top lane maybe isn't a very good idea. So I would probably suggest using something like a Buzzwole and an Eldegoss, or if you're not comfortable on Buzzwole, you could use something like Lucario, and if you're not comfortable on Lucario, you could use Mimikyu, right? There's a bunch of different options that you could use, right? These are Pokemon that are melee based. Now, why do we use these melee-based Pokemon in the top lane? So the question is, why do we want to use these melee-based Pokemon in the top lane? You know, as opposed to using them in the bottom lane. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit here, because generally this is what happens. You send your tank, so that might be a Slowbro, and your mage, your range mage, to the bottom lane. So I just want you to just pause here and have a think about, why wouldn't I run a mage in the top lane, and why wouldn't I run a melee character in the bottom lane? So assuming you've had a little bit of time to think about it, well, first things first, let's have a look at how the top lane looks here. You can see in the top lane, there's a lot more bushes, right? There's bushes here, there's bushes here, there's bushes there, and there, right? There's a lot of bushes, and there's a lot less space to move around in this lane, right? That's very advantageous for a brawler, because you want to be going into these bushes and doing a bit of a surprise attack on the enemy when you can. The second reason is, there's actually less experience in the top lane, right? There's Bunnelbees, and in the bottom lane, there's Indeedis. Indeedis actually give you more experience. So that means if you want to generate that additional experience, you want to use your melee Pokemon to try and get what we call stacks in, your attack weight or your special attack weight stacks in, or even Aos Cookie, right? Because when you score, you get experience. So that's very, very valuable for you. So you might go and score and then stay in that top lane as a Lucario, right? So you're getting the additional experience from scoring. It's a lot easier to score and escape in the top lane versus in the bottom lane. Okay, because as you can see here, there's actually a bit more space to move around in this bottom lane, and because the experience is worth more, you want to be securing the experience. So that might be this one here, right? You want to secure this piece of farm from the most optimal maximal distance possible, so that you're keeping yourself safe. So generally mages have the best secure, and they're keeping themselves in the safest position to be able to secure a piece of farm, right? So that's why a mage will generally go into the bottom lane when you're playing a game of Pokemon Unite. Now, why would you send your tank down to the bottom lane, right? Well, generally it's because after the objective, tanks are better at defending goal zones than supporters, right? They can be by themselves and they can soak up a lot of damage and sustain while the enemies are trying to break that particular goal zone. Okay, there's a couple, I guess, final things to mention when we're playing Pokemon Unite. The Regieleki is in the top lane, and you've either got your Regirock, your Regice, or your Registeel into the bottom lane. Generally, the bottom Regis give you more value than the top Regi, and at the 2-minute mark, there is a Rayquaza, and in the final 2 minutes of a game of Pokemon Unite, it is double points. So you want to secure this objective because it is completely broken, and if you get the objective, you most likely win the game, right? But you need to win on score, right? And you can break these pads and everything like that. So that's the general gist of like the map, experience, what roles there are, all that kind of stuff, where particular roles should be going. So understand your Pokemon that you picked, understand the build that you're going to use, and understand where you need to be going to get the most value when you're playing Pokemon Unite. So hopefully with all that said, we're going to jump into a game where I'm playing in the top lane as a brawler style Pokemon, and I'm going to talk through the macro about how we want to play this Pokemon. Okay, so we're playing a top lane carry game here. Oh, it's draft mode. Very nice. Banning Decidueye. I don't know about that. Can I just request Blastoise? Blastoise. Something that's actually good. Our team's picking first. What's Raj going to pick? Yeah, Crustle wants to obviously lock in Crustle first, so he gets a good tank. But Raj, who is our highest elo player, is picking Zeraora first. So I personally don't agree with picking those carries first because it gives the enemy team an opportunity to counter what you've just picked. So that picked Leafeon, which means that Hoop is a very, very bad support Pokemon. So I'm going to take this Pokemon into the top lane. Yeah, and they've taken Blastoise as well. So I definitely want the mobility of using this, but yeah, I am going to take Sylveon in the top lane and take it as a brawler, right? Because that's the intent of this video. That's what I'm trying to do is... Now, draft is really cool here because we can actually see what their team's running. Okay, so the enemy have got a Venusaur, who's a special hitter, a Blissey, and a Blastoise. So they've got 3 special hitters, and the other 2 are speedsters. So we just want to be mindful of dashing around the speedsters, but diving at those special attackers, especially late game. Early, I'm anticipating a Leafeon or a Meowscarada gank. Early, that could be very, very scary, depending on whichever one's in lane. So we're going to have to keep an eye out for that. If it's a Leafeon, you got to make sure you're well on your side of the map. Otherwise, you're going to get completely dove on. You're going to get smashed, right? So very cool. And let's watch this game play out. We're going top lane, right? Now, this is a non-EXP share, but it's not a stacking Slowbro. It's just a Slowbro that wants to do damage and have some fun in solo queue. So we appreciate them for playing a tank role, right? However, we want to make sure that we're hitting level 4 as soon as possible. So, okay, so their teammate's looking like he's going to stack. We'll just do some damage on him and then take all the contested farm away. Now, I'm going to just A-press him here. Our Slowbro is not actually interested in helping out there. So, yeah, that's kind of a little bit frustrating there because now he gets a good opportunity to stack. Okay, Leafeon has 14 points. We absolutely do not let him score. He actually goes down there. That's very, very valuable for us. Yeah, your goal early is you've got to make sure that you're hitting your level 4, right? So, okay, Meowscarada's in the bottom lane. We're not going to be able to score 12 if both of us don't stand on. Okay, so we're going to have to back out here and try and get... Okay, he's flashed. Yeah, because he's also trying to get level 4. But thankfully he just gives it to me, which is very nice. So now we can play very aggressive here against their team, and we want to as well. We absolutely want to, right? Because we can steamroll here. So level 4 early with Sylveon is very, very valuable, right? So now we're well ahead here. I'm gonna get this big one, and yeah, I actually might look to just invade straight away because I can see that Meowscarada is still in that bottom lane. So if he doesn't get back to his jungle very, very quickly, oh, he's getting... Wait, oh, it was the Venusaur who's jungling. Well, that's very good for me because, as you know, we can out-damage the special attack. Unfortunately, one of the enemy teammates has actually helped them out. So, very good play from the enemy Meowscarada. If it was just 1v1, that would have been advantageous for us. So, but that means that bottom lane should be winning, right? Because there was a 2v1 in the bottom lane. So, but we have got a Froakie in the bottom lane. I'm just making sure I'm running to middle as quickly as possible to support our Zeraora, whether he's taking on a fight, which he is taking on a fight. Very good job from Raj there. So we've hit level 6. We're panning the map here, and we can see our Slowbro's holding pad. The enemy's in a tricky spot. They've overextended, and now we might actually be able to do a lot of damage. So we're going to try and focus one of the enemies here, which ideally is going to be this Leafeon. Where the hell's he gone? Not quite sure. Oh, there he is. Hang on. Yeah, he dies there. He definitely dies. He should have based. He actually would have gotten away if he just based. So we don't want to give all of this up to the Blastoise. Yeah, unfortunately gets that with the evolution. And now the bottom lane is completely broken. Not very good. But that's okay because in top lane, you just want to make sure that you're staying ahead of the enemy top lane carry. So that's what we're looking to do here. Now we can't get caught. I think we've got Potion there. And yeah, okay, so it's still 2 people in the top lane. And yeah, so we are going to be able to kill the Sylveon there just because we've got a lot of the Leafeon, because we have got a lot of sustain. There's 3 in the bottom lane. It's still, I'm suspecting the Blastoise is still top. Yeah, so he's just looked, okay, yeah. So I've gotten that score because I do want my Unite move here. We are going to get that Unite move off. We do get those frames, and we actually have a potion. So we're going to be very, very tricky to kill here. Yeah, so the Blastoise is probably going to go down here. We want to dodge his skill there. Yeah, and then collect him, which is very, very good, and take the rest of that farm. So yeah, very valuable. We win the 2v1 the top lane, which is nice. And now just looking at any additional farm that's on the map to try and get ahead. So, okay, we want to... Oh, he's dived over to me and I've dove over him. So, okay, we're in a tricky spot here. I'm just running away, seeing if he's got a buff. He does have a buff, so I'm going to take that. Because if I just go back onto our half of the map, I'm going to die there. So, try and look to take the value where it is. And yeah, we will actually be able to take on this Venusaur here. And because we do have potion, and yeah, we, as you know, we negate that special attack. Dude, he was on like 1 HP the whole time. What the hell? Yeah, okay, so unfortunately, like, we're 6-0 and our team's not really doing a whole lot. Bottom lane has definitely struggled. But that's the value of using something like a Sylveon. So I'm seeing that these buffs are up, and I'm probably just going to take them off the map straight away. That'll give me level 10, which gives me Mystical Fire Plus, which is a nice little upgrade. And then I'll have a blue buff, and okay, our team's actually doing some stuff in that top lane, which is nice. So while the enemy team is dead, I'm going to try and take advantage where it is, but unfortunately the Venusaur is actually off-laned, and he's getting... Yeah, okay. Now their team has come back here. Let's get a Unite move off. We do get a kill there. Where's the enemy Masquerada? He's dashed away. But yeah, he's going to have a tough time killing me here. If our team actually attacks, we would have killed him there. But they've broken the goal, so that's totally fine. Okay, so now the middle game does get a little bit messy here. You just look for the value where it is, right? I see these in DDs. They're a lot of experience. Our team's just running past them, so I'm going to quickly clean them up. We're not in position to secure this objective. We don't have a Unite move, so where's the next valuable resource? It would be in our jungle and taking these middle Bs. Yeah, that's a losing fight down there, so I'm not quite sure exactly where our team's taking that fight on. Their team just got the buff from the Reggie, the shield, and they've got Unites, and we don't. So yeah, I think it's a very, very silly decision to take on that fight there. So now their team is understanding where our valuable resource is, which is it is in our middle. I am going to be able to get one more Unite move off if there is a big fight within the next 8 seconds. But it's not looking like it. Okay, there's a lot of them top lane here. I might be caught out here. I'll use my Unite move to survive and get away. Dash out of that. And now we've brought in a bit of a team fight here. Dashing out of that Unite move. Trying to get as much sustain as we possibly can. Okay, so the enemies have used quite a number of Unite moves there. If he looks to engage here, he could be in trouble. No, not if he gets the support of the Masquerada. Masquerade is absolutely going to help him there. So we're not losing in score by too much. And for this last minute, considering I did just use that Unite move, I'm going to try and farm that back. And if I can hit level 13, that'll be very, very good for me because I'll have those additional cooldowns. I'm just looking to take farm where I can. There's a blue buff up. Blue buff is very good on Sylveon late game. So I'll look to take that. Their team's pushing top. Our team's not looking like they're really caring, so we're actually going to be a little bit careful here. Yeah, he's unfortunately missed everything there. I'm going to try and take care of this Leafeon. He's dead. Yeah, their team gets 50 bottom. That's not great, but we will get level 13 by Rayquaza here, which is nice. Hate when the Mystical Fires just don't attack the farm. Okay. I'm not hating our position here. We do need quite a lot of score because the enemy have got quite a number of back caps, but yeah, okay, so right, hang on. Whoa. That's a lot of damage that we've just taken there. I don't want to 1v whatever here. But okay, so the other three that are alive there, the Blastoise is overextended by missing his skill, and we are actually going to be able to pick him up, unfortunately for him there, dive over the wall to get maximal distance away from the Venusaur, then probably re-engage on this Venusaur, considering it's a 2v1. Our team is ripped, and we're going to be able to win the game based off that team fight. Wow, very, very well played from our team. And I'll just kill him for good riddance. We got more money and look to score more money. So yeah, very, very well played from our team in the end game there. Absolutely. Hang on, we've got to be careful here because the enemy team has still got 10 seconds. Base pad's looking good. Top pad's looking fine. Yeah, we're fine. We're totally fine. Very good. Yes, so just staying on pad just in case, because you can always run off to go to your middle pad. All right, so we're going to talk through bottom lane mage. All right, it's a bit of a tricky role, but nonetheless, remember the macro of what we were talking about when we had the map overlay, right? And the attack rate Myriad is a little bit lost at the moment. He's actually fighting our teammate over that jungle. Okay, so considering we're down here by ourselves, we'll leave those other two camps just back there. And we're looking to try and secure the farm from as safe a distance as possible. So we're using those skills. Fortunately, the enemy team was a little bit better there. Now, considering we are down here by ourselves and our teammate is fighting over the jungle, we're just going to take our back farm as quickly as we can. Yes, a 3-person top. So if the enemy were aware of this, they would definitely be pushing me a little bit further than what they currently are. So we've got Psyshock, and yeah, I can't really do much when it's in the bush, and I will absolutely not be phase checking that bush. Yeah, don't take this farm off me, good sir. Okay, so he's level... Oh gosh, and yeah, they're kind of losing top lane as well. He's getting his attack weight stacks in. Yeah, okay, can we play aggressively here? He's just trying to stack 10 right in front of him. So I've stood on the goal zone to try and help him get his stack in, but he's... Yeah, so unfortunately our team is just throwing this game. Just throwing this game. I tried to help him how I could there, but yeah, really not a whole lot you can do. So very tricky situation, but remember what you want to do in the bottom lane is just secure farm from a safe distance. So if you can do that, like we got that farm there, then that's what we do, right? You're securing the farm from the maximal distance possible. Right, that's the general overview of the lane. And ideally, you want to be level 6 at least by the time you're hitting to the middle farm. But normally, you've got an EXP share in the lane. Okay, there's Sylveon's coming down. Sylveon is really, really good at negating my special attack. So, yeah, all right, tricky situation. There's 3 people in this bottom lane, which means... And there's 2 people in the top lane, which means that middle's free. So, unfortunately, our jungler wasn't aware of that and didn't run to middle. And now their team is probably going to get a good chunk of this farm. Just running away where I can. I'm trying to get away, trying to get away, trying to get away. We will get away. We'll get that shield and that berry. So, yeah, very good outcome for our team here. And now we might just be able to pick up this guy here. The Comfey's still there. But we will go and run to middle farm if it's still available. It is. So, weird turn of events there. But, yeah, remembering just the fundamentals of what we want to do in this lane, which is secure the farm. Focus on no deaths, right? We shouldn't be dying early in lane, and understanding a matchup. Right, I will try and get some of those. Oh, that's a good chunk for us there. Oh, nice, good job from our Glaceon. So Glaceon's looking at approaching level 8 here, which is a great power spike for him. It gets his Unite move, and we won't be getting that. But we've got this piece of farm here, and we've also got our middle buff here as well, the blue buff. They are starting to tap that, but they've released the objective. I don't have my eject button. I've still got 10 seconds on the eject there, so I don't want to get caught out, but we could almost see him getting collected there, and they have released this objective, so very tricky. They've still got 2 top. They're winning top. I think, well, yeah, considering they've got 2 top, and we have got the ability to rip this. Okay, we will try and turn on him there. We have got a Unite, and I've got the secure down pat here with Psybeam. If our team wants to switch onto that, yeah, we can definitely do some stuff here. So we can play very aggressively now. Yeah, he's negating a bunch of my special attack, but we should be good now. Yeah, there he is. We'll get our Unite move on him so we can get a big break here. So 32 and 30, that's ideal. Very good. So now we're looking to apply the pressure, right? We get to this mid-game stage. If they've got a blue buff up, you take their resources as quickly as you possibly can. I'm not going to overextend because I don't have vision in their middle, so I think that's a little bit silly, right? This farms just happen to spawn in here, which is fantastic. So yeah, we're trying to clean up some of that, but we know we can't 1v1 this Sylveon here. So yeah, we're going to just try and do some damage to him. Hopefully Machamp comes in and Turns around, also does some damage. Yeah, we're just kiting away, getting our berries there. That's totally fine. Very happy with that outcome for our team. 3 people top. It's not pushing anywhere. Blue buff, and then, yeah, rotating back through. We have got our... We don't have an eject button, which we've got to be mindful. We'll take that big B. That's very nice. Okay, no vision through the middle of the map. As a mage player, you're not running through and you're not trying to get vision for your team. You're trying to utilize the vision that your team is giving you. So sitting in this bush here, and we do have a unite move, and we now do have our eject button because there's 3 people heading down into the bottom lane. So hopefully our team can utilize some of that vision there. Yeah, Decidueye is going to get picked off there. We do use a unite move here. It's a very tricky situation because, yeah, Miraidon is still 0-0, unfortunately. Yeah, still 0-0. Probably played on my behalf, maybe a little bit too aggressively in that situation. However, I did think that we had the resources to be able to win that. Okay, so great work from our Machamp there. He is on his last breath, but we're just trying to push them back so they don't break our goals on here. Take this Baltoy because there's not really much else to do at this minute, and we're not going anywhere near that objective until we've got a team. So our Trevenant goes in. He can provide our team with the vision necessary. We can actually start tapping this. I'm not sure why their team isn't here. Gotta be careful of their team heading down here. Focusing on positioning. There's 4 people down. Oh, we've just missed that. And unfortunately, just on the cusp of that range there, get caught out by the Duraludon Flash Cannon. Probably should have ejected myself. Yeah, Miraidon. Hey, once again, it feels like a 5v4, so we're just going to play accordingly. Our Trevenant does get this, but we just want to try and yeah, defend the pad if we can. Do some damage. If we can get a kill there, that's very, very good. Okay, we've 1v3. And we've got a unite move, so we can probably hold this pad off if they look to push here. Yep, so they are looking to push. And, oh, that's really, really bad for him. He's going to die here. He dies here. Yeah, he can't get away from me here because of the radius of that circle works, which is great. Alright, so we've got a minute before Rayquaza, and we will not we're not going to overcommit here. We're not going to do anything crazy. We know there's 3 tops, so we can look to take a blue buff if it's available. It is available. And we'll get our secure with our side beam if we can. Very good. And then we're looking to immediately retreat. In fact, I might actually base here. Although Machamp's providing vision top lane and they're not looking to push top, which means that they're probably looking to push bottom. So we want to defend our bottom pad here if we can. Okay, now there's 3 top. But we do have resources top. Hopefully Glaceon doesn't also base. No, Glaceon stay bottom for vision. Very nice. We might actually be able to catch their Sylveon out of position here. We'll take that blue if we can. Okay, we don't want to overcommit there. We are the mage. We need to utilize the vision, not provide the vision. Yeah, okay. Dragapult being very pest-like there. There's an... okay, this is essentially Ray fight here. We're giving up this goal zone if their team wants to score and push there, just to get a reset. Miraidon is looking to go in 1v whatever, which is unfortunate. So we're going to lose that pad, but depending on how we can take this fight here. Out of that radius if their team looks to follow up. Try and keep ourselves in a safe position as possible. We do have a unite move. Machamp's gone in. Machamp's actually got some really good value there. Fortunately, just out of the radius there, just out of the radius. So I'm going to play from top side here. Fortunately, getting picked off there. Trevenant trying to utilize some vision from the Trevenant there. Their team's ripping. Yeah, our team's looking to rip. I'm a little bit scared of this one, but I'm going to try and go after him if I can, and we'll get the secure. We've got the secure. Very, very good. So now we just want to run to score. We've got the secure. We can run to score. We want to use... Okay, he'll die there because he is quite under level. That was close. Oh no, I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking. Okay, I'm not going to get that score in. But I can hopefully help this guy get some score in if he's looking for it. The enemy team's scoring quite a lot. We do need to try and counter that score. actually wonder if we're ahead here. Don't think we are. Okay, we'll find out if we've won or lost there, but I mean, hopefully we got a grip of how to play as a bottom lane mage, especially in a bit of a tricky game that one was. It was definitely a tricky game. Yeah, okay, so we did actually end up winning a game, which is very nice. We can have a look at our numbers here. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we just had a Myriad on that didn't want to do anything. We're able to play around that, right? And generally, you can play around this in your low elo solo queue lobbies if you're playing your role well. And you've got other Pokemon like our Glaceon and our Machamp that, you know, they were decent, they were understanding their role and what they need to do. So yeah, like in a tough game, you can actually play around those particular types of players that end up in your lobbies. Okay, so we're going to try and take jungle here. With a Cinderace top lane with a Trevenant and a Sableye bottom lane. Who's the best jungler that I can be using here? Probably not Venusaur, because Venusaur is requiring vision and frontline, which are two things that we've got vision hopefully with Sableye. We definitely don't have frontline, so we've got a Glaceon bottom lane. We may have to go something tanky in the middle. Charizard might be a decent option here actually. I'm a little bit hesitant to run a Speedster. I think I want to use something with a little bit of range here, so I'm going to go Charizard. It's very solo queue, very, very solo queue. Yeah, because we do like the support, and Charizard has actually turned out to be quite a good pick here because they've got the Masquerada who we can just pick up and swoop away. They've got Decidueye, they've got Goodra, they've got not a lot of Unstoppable on their team. So it's very, very advantageous for me to play this as Charizard. Which means I'm probably free to use Fire Blast instead of Flare Blitz, so I don't have to get the stun to get my Unite move off. Okay, but here we go. So jungle macro is very, very, a lot of people get it wrong, right? You'll see the top players do the same thing over and over. Very, very similar thing, right? A jungler who I actually could have picked would have been Leafeon. Why am I doing this clear so slow, man? What the hell? Okay, so if I'm doing my clear like this, then that means that I can actually overstay my welcome a little bit in the bottom lane when I get down there. We'll see how it turns out though, right? Because generally it's just buffs, do your quick gank, and then go straight to buffs. The alternative is, if you're getting your buffs a little bit later, yeah, so top lane's not going well, so I will absolutely not be going to top lane as a gank. Okay, our Mr. Mime's heading up there. All right, well that means that it feels pointless to stay down bottom, so I'll use my X speed. I'll try and get those quicker as I can and try and punish this here. Yeah, so, and we've got vision on their jungler coming up. Their jungler's coming through here. If we turn on their jungler, yeah, very, very well played from our team there. And we can get some stacks in here because we are running that attack weight. So yeah, it's very, very good for us. And a lot of experience in our pocket, which is fantastic. So now rather than overstaying our welcome here, we want to try and get in and out as quickly as we possibly can. Cinderace is, yeah, doing a little bit there, but so it's very good for us, right? We've hit Charizard's aim as 30, which is very nice. And Charizard does farm very quickly. You know, we're still sitting here kind of waiting for this buff, so we're early. Now, Mr. Mime's gone to invade. I actually really like that play from our Mr. Mime. Keep the pressure on, slowing down the enemies quite a lot there. Okay, so now we're going to be in a good position here to get to this middle farm. Charizard is very, very good at just mowing up farm very quickly. So we've got vision on 2 top and 3 in the bottom. So we want to just clean this up as quickly as we possibly can. There's all the little ones and the big one. Nice. And now we're actually close to a Unite move. So if their team's not careful here, which, yeah, if they're not going to be careful, then, yeah, if they, okay, I've got to be a little bit careful there. I'll kite back. This might actually give me a Unite move. Potentially it does. So now I can, yeah, definitely steamroll from this point here. So yeah, there goes Masquerada. There goes Goodra. Where's the Ninetales? We're looking to take on the Ninetales there. Yeah, Ninetales could be in a bit of trouble here if we get some support from our team. Are we going to be able to get the scoring? We do get the 36, which is nice. And then, yeah, we turn around, we take this farm, and we're off and away, rotating back through our buffs to go to the bottom lane. So things are going fairly well here. I think it's very good rotation from our Mr. Mime early to allow all of this to happen, right? So we're like level 10, almost level 11 at the first objective, which is very good. I'm going to be a little bit careful here. Yeah, we're hitting the enemy through there. They still don't have Unite move, so damn, that's really good for us. Yeah, he X speeds, that's fantastic, and we can take this bit of farm here, and we'll actually be very close, and with one top objective as well. So we're very close to our Unite move here. We can definitely look to engage. He's poking bushes, which is, yeah, well played from the Decidueye to poke those bushes there. I'm going to kite back and just get a little bit of health and utilize the vision that our Mr. Mime gives. I do have X speed to dive onto them. Honestly, which is, well, yeah, what I'm going to do actually. I'm just going to hard dive onto him. He's used eject to get away, but yeah, he's going to die there. And that's probably one of the downsides about using a Decidueye, right? See, our team, we've got a Glaceon. The Glaceon should be able to rip straight away, so it feels suboptimal for me to stay in that bottom lane and be ripping when there's resources we can take away from the enemy team still on the map, right? So there's that middle farm there. They don't have their buffs, but now that I've been through their central, I'll be able to see when they spawn. So unfortunately, the enemy team have actually got the bottom objective there. But, oh, hang on. Need to get out there, need to get out. Uses his Unite move. Not sure how much I agree with that. I'm gonna rotate back through to my buffs, and that'll give me my Unite move. Ready for the next big team fight, which I'd imagine is going to be on one of our pads here. I need to try and stop this Ninetales here if I can. Unfortunately, not quite quick enough, but yeah, we will pick up the KO. Just dancing around him, take a berry, and then rotate back through to one of our buffs. I'd imagine probably the bottom lane is where we want to be going, and we have got our Unite move. So very key for us here. We don't want to die, right? We've got a lot of levels. Yeah, we've got a lot of levels there. Here's him again. He will die. Yeah, we're literally just using our Unite move on cooldown because we have got a we've got an energy amp. So I'm just living in their jungle, taking their resources away from them. But I want to just make sure I don't get caught out here. So their red is up. We'll take their red buff away from them. And then they've also got bees on their side of the map as well, which will take their bees. And then we'll look to engage on them as they're overcommitted in our top lane. So we're just taking resources, not dying, not dying. Okay, I've got no vision here, so I just want to be very careful with where I'm running. I don't want to get caught out by their team. Go into the open space. Take farm, take farm. I'm very mindful of what's happening down in that bottom lane at the moment. Just want to quickly try and mow this farm up. And, okay, so this game's turned around a little bit, but we can look to defend this bottom goal zone. They might look to push it. Yeah, their team's actually rotated top, but we should be good there. We have no vision on the enemy. Okay, there's two in the middle. Okay, Decidueye down there. I'm not gonna run too hard at that Decidueye. I'm gonna have to Unite move here just to get some health back from that Unite move. Yeah, unfortunately, the whole team is on me here. My goal is just do not die, right? Because if I die there, I'm giving back a lot of experience to the enemy. So make sure I cannot die there. Absolutely must not die. And they've used their Decidueye Unite move. I'll get my Unite move. I'll be level 15. I'm pretty comfortable with my position here. Okay, so like admittedly this game probably have been a little bit lenient on the objectives. Like I thought that our team definitely would have gotten that bottom objective and the game did steamroll from there, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it does happen. So put this farm in top lane. Their team is looking like they're mowing a bit of it up, but we can pressure. We can really pressure here. Yep, no X speed on the Blissey, and he won't have that for the initial part of the Ray fight, which is nice. No, we don't want to engage here. 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 We're not engaging. We're not engaging. We're not engaging. We're not engaging. Alright, we'll take our buffs and we'll just be huge for this fight here. We only have 2 stacks though, but you know, 2's better than 0. Yeah, we can let that Reggie walk. That's totally fine. I'm looking for their Decidui or their... Okay, so those three that I'm interested in are up in the top lane. So I'll X-speed my way up there and yeah, pick him up. We've got a backcapper, which is a little bit frustrating, but we're pretty much just wiping their team here because we are a level 15, level 15 Charizard with some stacks. Our Cinderace actually died, so we've had someone backcapping and someone dying. We actually need to get out of this if we can. We're caught in a very bad situation there with Gooey. We're trying to slow him down just so I can base there. So unfortunately, our team has played that very suboptimally, and we are in a position where we actually can lose this game. Trevenant is doing some good stuff here. We are trying to follow up with doing as much damage as we can onto this Ninetales. If he dies, that's very bad for their team. Trying to take care of the Masquerada. Fantastic wall there. Yeah, we've got a huge lead. Honestly, we don't need to do anything here. We're in a very good position to just... Okay. Was he... Yep, he is in strife here. He's, yeah. I don't know why he's going for that back up at that time. Are they ripping? It looks like they're ripping. We just need to shut down whoever's hitting that objective. It's at like 50%. Yeah, we just need to shut him down if we can. Yeah, go for kills. Look to shut him down. Yeah, we're just trying to shut these guys down as much as we can here. They've used their resources on us there. There's only a handful of seconds left. They grew to round up to score. Honestly, their team played that endgame really, really well. That was an intense game. Fortunately, it did come down to a flip in the end there. I don't know how that game goes. Only 10 seconds. I think they probably do win that game if they get the secure. But if we had someone who just ran off to go and score, maybe counteract the score a little bit. Yeah, very, very tight game. Very good game. Yes, and honestly, not a bad Charizard game. I'm not a huge fan of Charizard. The matchup was definitely in our favor, and we had to use something that wasn't ranged, that could get in the enemy's face a little bit and do a lot of like initial follow-up damage from a tank rather than standing back and utilizing the vision. So yeah, very good. Thank you very much to Trevenant. He was fantastic. And then Mr. Mime Early played really well. So the next part about this course I want to talk about is understanding your matchups and what counters you and what you're good against at a particular Pokemon you're using. Now, Unite DB doesn't necessarily have this as a resource. I'm not sure if it's incoming, but Pokemon Unite Guide for Newbies is actually not too bad. So you can go onto this, you can have a look at like fundamentals and stuff like that. There's some acknowledgements, the people who come up with these sites are, it's a very, very valuable resource, right? But if we looked at, for example, Buzzwole, right? You can have a look. It kind of says more specifically what the role is. It's a top lane carry, right? It's that top lane brawler that goes in and tries to get the experience and steamroll the game, right? With, by being that particular carry. So generally a top lane carry requires a support, and that's why support will go to the top lane. It gives you kind of like a guide for emblems, like colors matter. And it's got the builds for the particular moveset that you want to play. But I want to kind of point in this direction, which is its matchups, right? So favorable matchups and unfavorable matchups. So Pokemon that you're strong against and Pokemon that you're not strong against. And so I just want you to pause and have a look at this and see if you can explain to yourself, why are some of these Pokemon in the unfavorable matchups? So assuming that you've had a little bit of time to pause and reflect, these Pokemon, consider what each of them have in their toolkit, right? Sylveon, Delphox, and Cinderace, and possibly something like Greninja as well, and even Chandelure, they've all got range, right? And they've all actually got a little bit of mobility as well, right? So those Pokemon, they can do some safe distance to Buzzwole from a range. Buzzwole's biggest weakness, evidently, would be his mobility, right? Which is why generally you need an eject button when you're using this character, or maybe an X speed, but generally eject, because you want to dash onto those Pokemon that are your unfavorable matchups, right? Why do you think Clefable might be an unfavorable matchup? Because of gravity, right? Gravity will shut down every single skill that you get to use, right? Because it shuts down everything that's dashing. So you go in with Superpower, that's a dash. You go in with Smackdown, that's a punching dash, right? So Clefable is not your friend. But Unfortunately, Clefable's in a very, very healthy spot in the meta. Now, I want you to have a look at some of these Pokemon in the top. This is an Urshifu here, by the way. Nice, cool artworked Urshifu. Why do you think these are favorable matchups? So assuming you've had a chance to look here, they're favorable matchups because you're able to shut down these Pokemon really well with your skills, right? Blastoise, for example, it gets that hindrance, resistance, and during that rapid spin, if you knock it up or if you smack it down, if you use a superpower, you're gonna not only you stopping Blastoise from using that skill, but you're able to just do free damage to that Pokemon, right? Especially, these are all top laning Pokemon, right? You can win your top lane early on 1v1 against all of these Pokemon. So generally, it would be a bad idea to take Buzzwole to the bottom lane because generally these are bottom lane Pokemon and these are top lane Pokemon. So these are all things that you really need to understand, right? Why do we think Garchomp would be a favorable matchup? How do we think Buzzwole beats Garchomp in a 1v1? Well, because you've got those two skills where you can really pivot and maneuver the poor mobility that a Garchomp has, right? It can only use those skills to engage and do damage onto you. If you are using your skills to dash away or to put yourself in a better position, especially like the superpower, you pick them up and you drop them off and then you smack them down and punch them over, further towards your team, you're going to be in a very, very good position. So Buzzwole is, generally speaking, the best of the all-arounders at the moment. Let's take a look at another Pokemon. We can consider Espeon here. Espeon is a bottom lane carry, so you take this Pokemon to the bottom lane and it's doing the carrying, it's doing the damage dealing, and it requires a little bit of vision from your enemy tanks. That's why you generally send your tank to the bottom lane, right? See, its playstyle, it's backliner and it's mage, right? Mage being a special attacking hitter. The emblems, it gives you an idea and it gives you the build. And these builds are going to be very, very similar, if not the exact same as the Unite DB builds. But in particular, let's have a look at these matchups. So favorable matchups, you've got, what the hell is this? Snorlax. Snorlax, Dodrio, and some of these other mages. And you've also got Buzzwole there, right? And then you've got unfavorable matchups. I want you to pause here and have a think about, why are these guys unfavorable matchups for you? So considering you've had a chance to look, Blastoise you can play skillfully against, but Blastoise is definitely a skilled Blastoise versus skilled Espeon. You're going to be having a very tricky time. Zoroark can dash onto you and do a lot of burst damage very quickly. It can dash in and around. Unless you're using stored power, you're probably not going to be able to hit the Zoroark at all, which is generally why I run stored power, because it's better against these Pokemon that you have a tough time against. Leafeon has a Unite move that is incredibly quick burst damage, right? And Water Urshifu, before it got nerfed, very, very scary to try and take on because it's got insane mobility, and it's, unless if you're in your flux zone, so it's having to dash through your flux zone, you're probably not going to be able to run away from a well-supported Urshifu. Why do we think these Pokemon are a favorable matchup? So assuming you've had a little bit of time to have a look, so Buzzwole, you can kite this Pokemon and you can do a lot of damage, and you can actually also out-secure some farm from a distance against a Buzzwole. Really good against a Ninetales because you've got the mobility to dash around, and you've also got a little bit of extra range with that Psybeam. So definitely favorable over the Ninetales. Favorable early over the Chandelure because you're going to hit your level 4, you're going to be very, very strong in lane, and Chandelure is not going to be as strong, right? As well as that, you can put yourself in a position where you're not getting hit by these skills, by the Chandelure. If you're using that mobility of the stored power, you're going to be able to dash in and around. Dodrio, very good because Dodrio wants to be able to move around the map very freely. You can use your Unite move, and your Unite move locks the Dodrio into place, gets rid of that sprint gauge, and then your team's going to be able to follow up and kill something like a Dodrio. Snorlax, well, I think Snorlax and quite honestly most of the other tanks in this game, you're going to be having a good matchup just because you can do a lot of free range damage and use that Psybeam, which does, percentage-based HP and just slash through the enemies, right? Really, really strong Pokemon. But this, guys, you need to consider your matchups when you're playing Pokemon Unite. So the more you understand the Pokemon themselves and the roster, the better player you're going to become, because it's going to dictate how you're playing your micro decisions against each and every interaction with Pokemon in Unite. The data informs decisions. Now, it's at this point, I'm almost certain that there's like 40% of people who are not using this data properly, right? So let's just do a quick review on how you want to read this, right? It's the word is meta, which is essentially how something, how frequently is something used, right? This is a very, very valuable website and resource. It tells you the win rate of the, of the last week and also the pick rate, right? You can go to this website to be very upset by the top couple of Pokemon and say that they need to be nerfed. Look, there's always going to be something that is very strong. Yes, this is probably overtuned just a little bit too much. However, the pick rate is not awfully high. So I think I think that's actually quite healthy. And you can also ban it when you're in a draft game. This Pokemon is doing very, very well, and I've been a very strong advocate for Eldegoss, by the way. I've been a very strong advocate for Eldegoss for quite some time. So you can then click, okay, well, let me learn a little bit more about the numbers and the data with Eldegoss. Well, we can have a look here. What are the builds that are doing well? Well, it appears to me that Pole and Puff, and whether you're using Cotton Guard or Cotton Spore, 53%, close to 54 win rate when you're using that move. As soon as you leave Tornado, then it drops, right? So on face value, it might look like Eldegoss is doing amazing, but what part of Eldegoss and why is it the particular healing? Well, Pole and Puff has got great AoE healing, right? Area of effect. So it's very valuable, and it also does damage to the enemies while healing your teammates at the same time. It's a crazy strong Pokemon, crazy strong. And so that's how this Pokemon works. What do we use it with? An eject button or an X speed seems to be doing, it might come down to personal preference. They're both very, very strong items. So that's how you might read some of this data. Now, another angle you could look at it as, you could try and hunt through all of these Pokemon. And for example, Dodrio, you can stumble across something like, hey, it's got a 51 win rate. But if I use this particular build at 55%, it does very, very well. Well, why is that? Okay, and one of the weaknesses of Dodrio is getting caught in heavy CC, and Tri-Attack actually allows you to do damage to the enemy without getting CC. Then you can decide when you're going to engage with your jump kick and your unite move and do all that kind of stuff. And you've also got a full heal to assist with that. So you might stumble across some Pokemon like this where there's a particular build that is it's evidently much, much higher. Okay, now another way you can use this data to your advantage is you can have a look at the Pokemon with a low pick rate. We call these off-meta Pokemon. Now, if a Pokemon is not used that frequently, then the enemies that you're versing, it's likely that they're not going to have counterplays readily available in their mind. So, for example, if you're laning against a Serena versing, laning against who's the most popular one, Buzzwole or Leafeon, right? You know what a Buzzwole is going to do. You know what the skills do. You know what it wants to do early. You know its motivation. You know how it's going to be playing, right? Whereas if you're using something like a Serena, there's going to be a lot of people, especially in your solo queue games, they don't know how to take on Serena. So the enemy might decide to have poor engages, and therefore you're going to be able to do more damage to the enemies or win more games or win more fights and all that kind of stuff. Just by using a Pokemon that's picked less. Now, simultaneously, generally why it's picked less is because they suck, right? But that's not necessarily the case. Let's have a look at Serena. What is Serena's win rate? Serena has about a 49 win rate. So you might look at that on face value and go, that's pretty bad. That's a negative win rate, right? But if we actually break it down, is there a particular moveset that does very well? It is this move Stomp, right? Stomp having about a 51 win rate, especially if you use it with Trop Kick, and does exceptionally well with an X attack. And you might just pause and reflect, like, why is that? Well, it's tough to apply the law of larger numbers because it's got such a low pick rate, and we don't exactly know how many games is this based off. Is it 500? Is it 10,000? We don't know how many. We don't know the numerical value, but we know the percentage values. And so you can probably say that might actually be a good build. And if you understand how to use this Pokemon and you understand how to play those matchups, then that might be advantageous for you, right? 51 win rate, that's not too bad, right? Considering it's an off-meta pick. So one thing that not a lot of people are using properly is the practice mode. The practice mode is incredibly valuable, and a lot of pro players actually spend quite a bit of time in the practice mode, understanding how their skills work, how much damage it's going to do, anticipating all that kind of stuff, right? So as you can see here, as level 1 Bulbasaur, right, you can see the damage you're doing per second. And when you get an understanding of this with all of the Pokemon, then you can kind of get a gauge of, which Pokemon are going to be doing better burst damage and if a Pokemon can burst you down very quickly, right? But it's also just practicing the skills themselves. So let's say I want to use Venusaur, right? I'm going to fully practice Venusaur. So I'm going to go Sludge Bomb and Solar Beam, for example. Now, it's always important, don't just go into this blind. Always have on your other, you know, whether you've got it on your phone or something, go over to Unite DB. And here I've got Unite DB, I've got Venusaur, and have a look at what your abilities do and like really consider this stuff, right? So you can see, oh, when I go below 30 HP, I'm going to be dealing more damage. That's very useful. That might come in clutch at a Rayquaza fight. Generally not something you play for. It's just something that's, it's nice to be mindful of. I'm going to be doing more damage if I get low on health, right? Sludge Bomb. Well, what does Sludge Bomb do? It decreases their movement speed, and it's also decreasing their special defense, right? Which is nice in an AoE, and it also does some ticks of damage, which is really cool. Solar Beam. Now you're going to see Solar Beam does 10 ticks of damage, 5 of them based off of like a ratio, a slider, and a base, and the other 5 ticks are on enemy percentage health. So you can see this is going to do quite a lot of damage to this practice dummy here. When I launch off my Solar Beam, you can see it does 10,000 damage to the dummy. Now, that's not exactly how much damage it's going to do. It's only because those extra 5 ticks of damage, it's doing 7.5% maximum health of the dummy, which I believe the dummies have 100,000 health. So it's doing like 7,000 something damage purely based off of that, right? It's also nice to consider that those 5 ticks of damage, they're not influenced by like special defense and everything like that. It's just purely based on the enemy's max HP. So Venusaur is very good at shredding tanks, right? It can do a lot of damage to tanks, 7.5% of their HP. Now, how does the practice mode come in useful? Okay, well, it comes in useful, you know, doing this kind of stuff. But one thing that you can do here, right, you can hit your farm, they're going to respawn like normal, you're kind of just in this by yourself. If you want to make things go quicker, you can turn cooldowns off for yourself. You can turn off the dummy, you can make sure that he doesn't attack there, right? And then you can see you're just going to be using these skills on cooldown, right? Because you get to use them unlimited, right? You know, which is not really the point of what I'm trying to get at here, right? And you could go, oh, I just need to quickly farm up to like level 11 so I can like, you know, quickly get that thing that I'm trying to test out. You don't have to do that. You just go to practice options and you level yourself up a little bit, right? So if I want to practice my late game combos, right, I want to make sure I've got blue buff, and I want to make sure I've got my energy amp ready to go, and I want to have Solar Beam Plus ready to go. So if you head over to Unite DB with Venusaur, you can see Solar Beam at plus. It does 2 seconds reduce cooldown, which is very, very valuable, because if we level this up just to level 13 here, you can see it's got a 5-second cooldown, right? Well, if you also incorporate some of these stats here, you've got a 25% cooldown when you hit level 13, you can see that there. And if you've also got a blue buff, and if you use an energy amp, these cooldowns are going to be very, very low, right? So if we, and remember to turn your cooldowns off, right? So we've taken, hang on, let me jump back over here. We've taken the blue buff. I'm going to turn cooldowns back on just so we can see, okay, how do I want to do my combo here? Is it Solar Beam, Sludge Bomb, Unite move? I still have to wait 2 seconds to get my to get my Solar Beam off, right? Is there a better way to do this, right? Well, I might go Sludge Bomb, Unite move, Solar Beam, and then I can, you know, follow up with another Solar Beam there, right? That's like, you know, 2 seconds later. It's like, how else could I then combo this, right? Well, what if I go Solar Beam and then Sludge Bomb, and then use that Unite move, and then now I can use it like one there, and then almost another one like instantly. You can see how much damage can be done per second very, very quickly. So you can have a play around with stuff like that with the particular character that you're using, right? Another thing that a lot of people are going to use practice mode for is understanding how, like, where can I stand and what bushes can I hit, right? Because this is hard to do in a game, right? You don't want to practice this in a game. You want to practice it in the practice mode. And you also want to practice, like, if you're using a character like Venusaur, pan off the map and then see where you're going to be hitting, right? You don't need to watch where your Venusaur is, right? You'll eventually see where your Venusaur comes in, but you want to see where you're hitting, right? That's what matters. So that's important as well. Well, you might go, okay, what if I'm standing on the top side of this Rayquaza pit? Well, I can poke that bush there. Oh, very nice. Can I poke this bush down here? I can. I can actually hit that bush from the top side of the Ray pit. from my side. That's pretty handy to know, right? So now when you're playing, if you've got an eject button, which you would always be using an eject button, I've just got the pedal dance build on currently, right? You'd always be using an eject button here, so you can flash away from the enemy if they, if they decide to come in. So understanding, where you can be positioned at Rayquaza with a particular Pokemon that you're using, right? As well as that, it's like, what are the best channels for me to stand, right? If I'm trying to hit as many enemies in this area at once, what's my positioning? Is it here? Is there more AoE here versus if I stand on this kind of side here? Where should I be entering if I know the enemies are coming in here, or if they're all going to get clogged up in this area here, right? Because you can see when you launch off that Unite move, look at where your other seeds sprawl, and then you can get some follow-up damage with that as well. So it's definitely something that you should be doing in your practice mode, right? Understand your character, like where can I run, where can I go, right? I can guarantee you, out of everyone who plays Mimikyu, probably 2% of people who've gone into practice mode with Mimikyu and practice where to stand to fire off their Shadow Sneaks, to hit bits of farm, to hit bits of the map such that they know an enemy's traveling through a passageway. But I can guarantee you 100% of pro players who have used Mimikyu have done that for hours in practice mode. Maybe not hours, but like at least 15, 20 minutes getting an understanding and then applying it to practice in game, right? Well, what else? Okay, so you go, what else can I do in practice mode? Well, where can you hit the objective from? All the way about here, right? You can test it. Is that going to hit the Regirock? It does. So you can, and then you can't remember it. Okay, well, here's this spot on the map here. It's like this little stepping stone for Venusaur to stand on. If I just stand here, then I'm going to be able to hit that Regirock, maybe just a little bit on the stepping stone there. Do I hit the Regirock? No, I just miss it. Got to be a little bit closer. Right? That's very nice. So all of these things we take it into consideration, because this is how practice mode can become very, very, very handy, right? You're using your Pokemon and you're understanding how your Pokemon's used and where you can position and all that kind of stuff, right? Like, where can I hit the ray from? Like, what's the maximal distance I can stand from the ray? Because you don't have to solar beam it like this, right? You want to try and get your secures from a maximal distance. You can be standing here and still hit the ray, right? That's a long way out of the action, right? Well, what about from the bottom side? Can I be in a safe position and still hit the ray? I can hit it from that choke. So you go, well, that's really handy information. What about the Unite move? Would the Unite move hit it from an even further distance, or only a little bit, right? Only a smidge will. Well, back from here, you could then use your Unite move and then follow up with a big solar beam after that. These are all options, right? Is solar beam good secure? Absolutely, because you're doing a percentage of the enemy's max HP, which on the objectives, well, that actually turns out to be quite a chunk of damage, right? So very, very useful, very, very great skill at securing an objective, and yeah, just doing a lot of work in general. So that's how you can use practice mode to your advantage. So like a quick recap. Have a look at your positioning, have a look at what you can do early, have a look at what you can do in lane, understand how the practice dummy works, and then also make sure you've got Unite DB open, understand what you're doing, read the skills, go, that's what Sludge Bomb does. Okay, how can I use this with this other skill? Or would Giga Drain be better in these particular scenarios, right? Start to question everything that you're doing, because in doing that practicing in the practice mode, you can then apply that in your games. So another part of Pokemon Unite that we can really learn about is some of the complex mechanics and some of the, you might say, complex math involved with the game and with understanding the game. And so with the complex math, there's obviously damage formulas. There's experience, how experience is calculated, how it's distributed, how the experience share works. Right, there's a bunch of stuff that can go into that. Right, how do cooldowns work? How does attack speed work? Right. All of this information is totally available, right? It's from Unite DB and it's powered by the Math Cord, and they do an absolutely fantastic job. So let's take a quick dive into it, right? So first things first, you would go to FAQ, and you can go to all of these. There's elementary mechanics, which elementary means primary. They're fairly basic, right? Then there's hidden mechanics, and then there's niche interactions. So it's sort of like easy, normal, hard, right? In terms of understanding what the heck's going on. So you go, well, what does the Accelerator actually do? And this is the blue buff, right? Well, the blue buff what it's going to do is it gives you 10% cooldown reduction. Well, that's very, very useful for some of your mages, for your special attackers, for those sort of Pokemon, right? Well, what does the red buff do? Well, the Excavalier, right? It slows the enemy. So it's sort of like having that Eldegoss boosted auto onto those enemies time and time again. Right now, I know some of you are probably sitting there going, dude, this isn't complex. This is very, very straightforward. It's like, well, this is like the tip. This is the surface, right? We can go, this is a deep, deep rabbit hole we can go down, right? You know, you can look at how damage works. You can have a look at how wild Pokemon scout, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff that we can have a look at here. What I want to have a look at is some mathematics, because I like mathematics. Damage formula, right? How does it work? Like, should I be running a stacking item? Or, you know, DB hasn't suggested a stacking item for this build, but I think it could be valuable. How do you make that informed decision by yourself, rather than just saying, oh, I'm going to stack, I think it's better, right? Well, you can do some of these decisions and run through some of this math very easily by yourself, right? The way that you calculate damage is there's a ratio, there is a slider, and there is a base, right? It's called RSB. Now, when you are considering the attack weight only influences the ratio sides of things because it is increasing your attack. The slider and the base are not actually influenced by your stat itself. It's purely doing that damage no matter what. It's like, so slider is your level, base is just the base damage. Ratio is how your attack scales with that, you know, with the damage output that happens, right? So, and I've done a video like this before, but I'm going to use the same Pokemon here, which is Lucario. It's like, well, should we stack with Lucario? Should we try and increase that attack stat? And I would say that's probably going to be a good idea, because if you look at a fully charged Power Punch, it does 381% of your attack, which means that for every 2 your attack increases, you're going to be dealing an extra 7 damage, right? So if you're full stacks, that's going to give you 12 times 6, which is 72, plus, you know, just that alone, right? Let's just assume that alone. You've got an extra 72 damage here. Let me do this in a white. You've got an extra 72 damage times by 3.8. But it's somewhere along the lines of, I think, about like 300 extra damage just by having a fully stacked attack weight versus like a float stone, for example. And that's every single time you're using that skill. So then you think, well, how useful is that? Well, it's an extra 300 damage. And if I'm using this on cooldown, right, 300 damage, and this skill has got a cooldown of 7 seconds, okay, well, 300, and then I'm going to be able to use this, let's say, I don't know, like, let's say 40 times in the game. That tallies up to be quite a lot of damage purely from the, you know, maybe not 40 times, I don't know, maybe 40 times, right? If you're using a cooldown, he's banging the enemies like punch, 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 right? That's a lot of additional damage, right? That could be potentially, what is that, like 12,000 damage? That's quite a lot. That's nothing to, you know, just scoff at, right? That's a lot of damage that you could be doing purely based on that item. So generally, that's why if we look at something like a Lucario, we go, yes, an attack weight is very valuable. It is one of your held items that should be used. In fact, all the items should be giving you plus attack. It's a physical attacker where the stat scales really, really well. So, and you know, this weakness policy, it increases your attack as a percentage, right, by 12%. So really, really nice when you're in combat. Now, that's some of the math there. Obviously, I've got a video, right, that covers this, like a graph that shows you how defense influences and that kind of stuff versus attack. They're just linear functions. You could develop them by yourself on a graphing calculator. Yeah, it's just a linear function, right? It's like a year 9 level understanding of math, right? But yeah, there's all this stuff, right? There's experience. If you want to learn how experience works, you go to this website. Experience is actually fairly straightforward. Just if you've never seen it before, you don't know what you don't know. And then we can get to some of our hidden and, you know, I guess niche interactions, right? Well, there's cancellation combos. Now, this is where you're getting towards like trying to become a pro player. If you can get those cancel animations, or you can get those queued animations happening, you're going to be able to do your attacks a lot faster. I should find a clip. I think it's from Zavi with Zorak, and the combo of Night Slash. It's actually scary to look at. It's like he does in practice mode. If he does that in game, you're dead. You don't have time to respond, and it's because he does cancellation combo. Really, really good. The way you use it with the illusion and everything like that. But some of these exist. Do I know how to use all of them very well? Absolutely not. If I did, I'd be trying to be a pro player, right? This is very, very tough to do. How do you get better at doing these cancellation combos? Well, A, you become aware of it, and then B, you go to practice mode and you practice and practice and practice for like hours, right? Have a look at Midnight Mew Foxy, for example. He's a Mew player. He understands all the interactions with Mew and how to cancellation combo and get an extra skill if you do this and do that. And the next thing, he discovered that by going to the practice mode, right? So yeah, but all of these kind of, you know, multi-proc, this one, I've gone over this in the hidden mechanics video. It takes quite a bit of time to really try and understand what's going on. But if you're motivated and you want to learn about this stuff, this is widely accessible. It's completely free. It's all put together. It's just whether or not you have got the, I guess, the level of understanding and fluency to be able to read this and interpret it and then try and apply it in game with the new knowledge you can get. This is all stuff, if you understand it, you can get an advantage when you're playing Pokemon Unite. So one, and this is a big topic, right? It's attack speed and whether red emblems are important or whether a muscle band gives you value and all that stuff, right? This is, in my opinion, the most complicated part about Pokemon Unite. It took me a very, very long time to really wrap my head around doing this, right? So you can go, again, this is in our, I believe it's in mathematics, right? Hidden mathematics. So you can go to this. Now this document explains how attack speed works. Essentially, it's got to do with the frames on the screen and and they group it in buckets and stuff like that. Yeah, like these guys are geniuses, man. They come up with an absolute genius, right? So much time, so much trial and error, so much mathematics to make this resource available. It is absolutely, hands down, phenomenal, right? Absolutely amazing. So you will stumble across a spreadsheet that looks a little something like this. So for example, I'm looking at Absol, Buzzwole, and Mr. Mime, right? So this is their attack speed. Now, this is purely based off of the frames. Let me see if I can... This is purely based off of their frames, like how often you're going to be attacking per like frame on the screen and stuff like that. Let's say if you add in an X attack, how helpful is that? Well, you can see you're going to be attacking a lot quicker because you're using an X attack, right? Essentially, this, let me turn that to be false, right? This stuff here is showing you that's your base attack speed. This is if you had red emblems. This is if you had 5 red emblems. This is muscle band. This is 7 red. This is a rapid fire scarf, and then it's got a combination. 3 red muscle band, scarf, and 3 red, right? Gives you all the combos, right? Essentially, you're looking to see which one gives you the maximal value for the minimal amount of resources that you need to input. Yeah, so like, and then over here we've got the base, and then whether a muscle band is helpful or not, and it tells you whether it's faster. Basic attacking at each and every individual level, right? So you can see that Absol, Mr. Mime, Buzzwole, they probably do value having a muscle band, but then you then question, Mr. Mime, muscle band, is that really something that I want to invest in? Aren't I better having a focus band, a resonant guard, EXP share, a whole bunch of different items, right? So just because it's better doesn't necessarily mean you use the item, right? But there's some scary stuff here. Let's go to Cinderace, right? Cinderace has a very fast attack speed. You think, oh, well, what about an X attack? Wouldn't that be awesome? It's like, there's a lot more green here, but have a think about the items that you're going to be running. You're probably going to be running a muscle band and a scarf, right? So if you have a look at this particular column here, does it really help having your X attack, especially in the late game? Think about level 11 through to level 15, right? Having an X attack, does it help? Like a little bit, but it's probably not worth the investment. You're attacking as quickly as you can anyway. So having an item like an eject button probably provides you with a little bit of extra value because mobility over getting those extra attacks off and a bit of that extra damage, right? You've also got like Blaze Kick Plus. This is always going to be true because, you know, we're assuming you use Blaze Kick, not Pyro Ball, but you could turn this off and you can consider, okay, I'm going to use Pyro Ball and how does that influence stuff and, you know, everything like that, but we're going to keep it true. Generally late game, you've got your Unite move off anyway, so you can have your Unite move and then you pop X attack. Does it really help? Not really, right? Not late game, it won't, but early game it absolutely will. So you know, you can write this stuff down, you can copy paste, you can do your own comparisons, you can play around with it as much as you want. It's a completely free resource based on attack speed that people have spent tens and hundreds of hours working together and publishing on a website, right? So the least you could do is, if you've got the spare change, you could kindly donate to Unite DB or the Math Cord or Unite API or one of these very valuable resources, that they provide this for free, right? So it's absolutely an option that you can do. Okay, but I just wanted to explain how, I guess how to read and interpret this Excel sheet, because it honestly, it is very, very complicated, especially when you're first looking at it. But they've color coded it in case you don't want to look at the numbers. Green means faster, red means slower, and these, like, what is 40? That means you're attacking. Every 40 frames on the screen, you get one attack off. That is from my understanding, right? And it's 60 frames per second, so you can do your mathematics from there, right? It's not a raw increase. It's not 7.5% increase from muscle band, therefore I'm attacking 7.5% more. Unfortunately, that's not how the attack speed works. So if you really want to get an accurate breakdown of how the attack speed works, you need to look and interpret this Excel document and do some of your own understanding and finding based on that stuff. So one topic that's always up for contention is the Rayquaza fight. So I've got an example set out on the screen here. I want you to pause the video, have a look at the positioning of the blue team and of the red team, and see if there's any, I guess, red flags about where people are positioned. So assuming that you've had a chance to pause and have a look and have a think, I'm going to start with the blue team here, right? I think the blue team has got very, very good positioning, right? I think that everything is well looked after, and, if it's 2 minutes or 2 minutes 10 or 2:05 and their team is in this position, assuming they've got their power spikes, they're in a very, very good spot, right? I'm going to start with the supporter. The support is in a good spot because he's an equivalent distance to all of those teammates there. And this top laner, right, it's more or less their responsibility. They can't get caught out here. If they get caught out by themselves, that's kind of a skill issue as the top laner, right? However, this is good positioning from the Buzzwell because you've got vision on any enemies that tries to wrap around into the top side of this Rayquaza pit, meaning that the only way that the enemy's going to be able to get past this position without being seen is running like through this top lane and all the way around and back this way. Or if they were in this position very early and they were already sitting in this bush, meaning that they actually got vision on the Buzzwell walking into this top bush area, right? So that's why it's good to be in these positions maybe 10 or so seconds before you need to be there, because you can play with the vision that you've got from your team. So that's the blue team. I think they're in a pretty good position. Now the tank player, the Trevenant, I'd say he's in a very good position, right? Because you've got the Hooper can send portals, right? So he can kind of try and shove the enemies back here a little bit, get some more of the map pressure. That way it makes a reverse sweep here from the Buzzwell to attack the enemy backline a lot easier because they've got less space to move around. And the Trevenant can fight for that space, and these guys can follow up with their backline damage, and the Hooper can just send the portals home, and the Trevenant can get reset, come back to the Ray fight, be fresh and healthy, ready to re-engage and do that again on repeat to try and get some map pressure, right? So that's very, very handy. So I think the blue team, if you're playing for the blue team and you've got this positioning, I think you've done a very, very good job. Let's have a look at the red team here, okay? Let's say this is the positioning of the red team. Just, again, have a pause and see if you can see if there's anything potentially wrong with this positioning. So assuming you've had a chance to look, I'd say there's one thing that really stands out to me, and that is this Lucario, right? Now, is Lucario really providing his team much useful vision here? I guess generally it's rare for an assassin to do a sweep like this to get to get the Venusaur here. Obviously, we're assuming that this goal zone's out of action, right? If that goal zone's in action, maybe that changes the dynamics here a little bit in this particular fight, but we're just assuming goal zones are broken and there's only tier 2s that you can score in, right? So this Lucario, I think, might be in a bit of a not so great position, only because let's say if these were reversed though, right? If these guys were here, and I'd say this is probably some poor positioning from the Decidueye, because you're very, I guess, you've got a long way to run to be able to be safe, right? And you're a little bit far away from your tank who's able to shove them away, so you're kind of preying on a portal. And if an assassin comes through here, you're going to get picked off, I guess, quite badly. And the only reason I say that would be bad positioning is because there's actually no one to provide the vision. Because if someone was sweeping around the top lane, the Buzzwole provides the vision. So this backline Pokemon here has actually got the time to respond, right? So it's probably a better idea if these guys swap here. Now, that reason is because if you've ever tried to get a hold of a Mew and kill it 1v1, it's got a Unite move and it goes invisible, right? So against any half decent Mew player, you're actually going to be in a very, very tricky position trying to take this out. So I'd say the Lucario's positioning is probably not so great because not getting too much vision and also a little bit tricky. If the Lucario was positioned, let's say in this bush here, right? I'd say that might be a little bit better because you've got the potential to path into here and pick up one of the enemy backlines. But how do you get into that position without being seen? Well, that's having a good, a good 5-stack that you can play with, and you're all on the same page, and you get to that position at like 2 minutes 15. You're sitting in that bush, you're being patient, and your fingers crossed that the enemy team don't check that bush before going into the raid pit, which is, you'll see a lot of good teams will poke these bushes, right? This one here and this one here, and in particular this one here, right? And this bush in here and this bush in here, right? Because they're trying to scout to see, are the enemy teams set up in an ambush where I'm going to get caught out if we don't check to see if these enemies are in these bushes? So you'll see a lot of teams will definitely do that at the right class of fight. So I'd say the Lucario's positioning might not be that fantastic. But if we consider the rest of the team, I'd say the Eldegoss has got fairly good positioning here. And the reason being is you could say, well, this Buzzwole might be able to come around here and actually pick off this Venusaur, especially if a fight breaks out. You know, if these guys get pushed far back a little bit here and these guys maintain a bit more map pressure throughout here, and then the Lucario starts to attack up, and the fight breaks out in this area, well then, you know, the Buzzwole could come around here and pick off the Venusaur. It's very, very important as the Eldegoss player to make sure that you're within distance to be able to respond, right? Because as an Eldegoss, your Unite move, you'll go up into the air and you'll drop and you'll do a whole lot of healing and damage, but you also shove an enemy away. And displacing an enemy away from your backline carry is really, really important because you can probably shove the Buzzwole from there to there, and then the Venusaur can eject button from there to there. And you're creating a lot of space and keeping your backline very safe and sound in those scenarios. So hopefully if you had a look at that positioning beforehand, you've got kind of a rough idea of how ideally you want to be positioned, right? It's understanding your matchups. So how do you 5-stack when you're playing Pokemon Unite? Yeah, that's a very complicated question. It's going to be very tricky to cover in like maybe 10 or 15 minutes, but the best way to give that a go is to review some competitive footage. So this is a game straight from the, I believe it's the EU and NA March finals of 2024. So it is competitive gameplay. It's not mucking around. Okay, it's not just some ladder game or a scrim. It is a competitive. These guys are playing for money, right? They're playing. They're the best in the best of their regions, and they're competing with one another. So first things first, our team on the left here, they've got an Espeon, they've got a Mew, they've got an Umbreon, they've got a Garchomp, and they've got an Eldegoss, right? So I just want you to pause and have a think. Where do you think each of these Pokemon should be going? What are their roles and what lanes and who's going to the jungle and everything like that? Okay, so now that you've had a look, what I'm anticipating here, and I actually haven't watched this game so far, and it's a little bit of a giveaway because I actually can see the Gibble looks like he's following this this Eldegoss here, but I do believe that he's going to go top with the Eldegoss, right? And that's because the Eldegoss is going to be able to provide a lot of pressure, and both of these guys here, they both have a lot of A-press pressure, right? Meaning that they can hit the enemies quite a lot, so they're going to actually be doing quite a lot of pressure in the top lane. And think about, well, who are they versing, right? Why do you think that's a decent top lane? Well, they're going to be up against a Lucario, and the support is going to be a Chansey or a Blissey, right? So having a double A-press means that this Lucario is not going to have a very fun time trying to stack, right? If this is you playing Lucario, there's a good chance that the enemy are going to kill you, because when you overextend on this half of the map here, they're going to A-press you down. Eldegoss slows your movement speed down. So that would be my guess there. So I'd say here we've got top, meaning that the Mew generally goes bottom. I'd say it's probably going to go bottom here. only because leaving us with a jungle Espeon. And you think that's pretty weird, jungle Espeon. Well, Espeon gets a level 4 power spike, meaning that he can go to either of the lanes, top lane or bottom lane, very, very quickly, meaning he can actually help get one of those lanes online, which is going to be really, really useful for his team. All right, so that's what I'm anticipating. And then if we have a look at the team on the right-hand side, I think this one's a little bit more obvious. We've got a Lucario and a Blissey. They're going to the top lane. We've got an a Crustle and an Inteleon. They're going to the bottom lane. And the Dodrio, to get level 5, will do us full clear in the jungle. That's what I'm looking at here. The other potential is that we've got this guy here. After doing one of his buffs, he'll get level 4, and he actually might try and harass and slow down the enemy Dodrio. That's totally an option. Now, that's not how your solo queue games are going to play out, but this is how competitive gets played out. Everything is picked deliberately. It's like they drafted, they knew what they were versing, they're well practiced with their lanes and how they want to play with one another. So when they get into the competition, they get into their 10-minute game, they've got all this stuff ready to go. So let's actually see how this one plays out. Yes, we can see we've got the Eldegoss and the Garchomp going top lane. We can see we've got, so everything's kind of going exactly where it is, and we're going to see if that Espeon does that, quick gank there, right? By getting a level 4 power spike. So you can see, yep, they go for the contested farm. Lucario shoves the farm away. Very, very nice. You can see the health of these enemies here, right? This is wild. They're getting A-pressed. And we can see this is actually exactly what happens here, right? Look at what this Espeon's done. It's only taken one buff here. It's only taken the red buff. And now it's gone into this lane to put additional pressure onto the enemy top lane. And they know that this is a strong possibility because the enemy jungler does a slow clear, right? So this is very calculated. How do you 5-stack? It's like these are the level of strategy that you got to come up with, because now having that understanding of how they've drafted and everything like that, guys, we're 30 seconds into this game, and have a look at just how much different this game is to your typical solo or duo queue matches, right? And this is why a lot of people say, well, jungle diff, right? Because a good jungler in your solo queue games can actually play like this a little bit. And then you'll see this Espeon probably actually ends up rotating down through to the bottom lane, or this blue buff goes into the hands of the Mew, right? And the blue buff is very, very good on Mew. It actually might help the Mew get level 5, so it gets move reset. So there's a lot of strategy coming out from, I believe this is Yalla Bingo, and yeah, this is a really, really cool game so far. So we continue to watch here, right? Very, very different to your normal solo queue games. And you can see the Espeon comes up, 2 kills. Yeah, they get their scores in, and the Lucario actually has 0 stacks, right? So yeah, very, very nice, right? Very nice. All right, and then you might think, okay, well, how does that team respond, right? Where's the Dodrio going to come in? Does the Dodrio go top? Do they go bottom? And have a look at the left side, the blue team. The blue buff's still on the map. They don't care, right? They're not griefing a blue buff, okay? So yeah, they see the Dodrio come in. Yeah, well. You can just see how different these matches are, and the bees just get bursted straight away. Everyone's in position, ready to take on this contested farm. Not a second is wasted, right? Let me pause right here. It's 8:38, and look at the Dodrio. The Dodrio is already like, yeah, I'm going to top lane, bro. I'm out of here, right? He's like, I'm on a mission. I got to go. And you can see that the Espeon is now looking to go back to his farm straight away. They don't waste any time in these competitive matches. So in terms of how do you 5-stack, well, you need to be time optimal, right? And they're all very aware of what they need to be doing at what time, right? And you can see, well, it's a bit of a surprise attack from the Dodrio. Is the Garchomp going to be able to get out? He does, because the Eldegoss does provide a lot of support. So yeah, and now that Lucario has actually got extreme speed, and now it's looking pretty scary in the top lane, right? So very good response from the orange team. They're understanding, okay, the jungler's gone bottom. I'm a Dodrio. I can get to top lane very, very quickly. Let's get some value there. And then I'll go back to my own jungle, and I'll try and do a clear throughout my own jungle at that point. So at this 8-minute mark, this is a very, very important point, right? Have a look at what's happening here. You've normally got one person from the bottom lane on either team going in. You've got one person from the top lane, that's this guy and this guy, going in. And where exactly is our last guy on the left-hand side? Maybe he's died, maybe he's respawning, right? Not exactly sure. So it looks like at this point, both teams are looking like they want to rotate, they want to get vision and go towards this central area to try and get that contested farm. But yeah, no one's willing to extend. No, there actually is two people in here. It's the Mew and the Espeon. But yeah, you can see that the speedsters are very, very scary. You know, because without good frontlining and being able to displace and stuff like that, they can do a lot of work. So you can see just how different these sorts of games are compared to solo queue matches. So it's like, and these games are going to be very, very different based on all the different matchups like we've talked about. If it was a one size fits all, you know, yeah. So you can see that Dodrio gets a lot of value, utilizes the vision that the Lucario gave, tried to bait the Garchomp in. This is all calculated. They'd be saying this. Lucario saying, yep, Garchomp top, no sign of support. And then, you know, Dodrio goes, yep, just try and bait him in, and then I'll get a hold of him. Okay, and you can see at this bottom objective, they're very, very, keen to use their Unite moves. They want to try and get the advantage as much as possible. Both junglers on both teams having the Unite moves. And look, it's very 50-50, right? But another thing, I just want to point this out here, right? Is that you can see that both of the top laners are still in the top lane, right? And the top lane support is actually still in the top lane supporting, right? So that might explain why. And let me jump over here, right? Look at the positioning of the blue team. They're very passive, right? So they know that they don't have their support here. So the support's in the top lane, making sure that they can, try and wipe out this Lucario so they can win top, maybe score some points and walk this Reggie into the second tier there. Meaning that, and their team's totally okay with that. It just means have a look at the positioning of the other three down here. They're not overextending. They're playing passively. They're trying to force out resources. They're trying to leash the objective away. This is really, really solid. And in terms of, how do you 5-stack? Well, you've got to think very, very critically about the game itself and every decision that's being made at every single point and what each of your, players are doing. Because if you're not doing that, then the other team is going to just steamroll you. They're absolutely going to steamroll you. So I'm just going to fast forward this a little bit to get to some extra key points, but we're kind of getting the gist here, right? Is that, so the Inteleon comes in here, he flashes over, he's probably, they're going to win this team fight. Okay, so I want to just talk about, I guess, this end game here. Again, I have not looked at this game. I'm not exactly, I don't even know who wins this game, right? I've never watched this game before, but it's a professional game. They're playing for money, so I'm very confident that they're going to be doing the right thing. So this is going to be a good gameplay for me to do some analysis on, right? Have a look at the positioning of everyone here. There's a bottom goal zone here, so the Dodrio playing from this bottom lane is actually not that bad of a call because Dodrio can get those quick scores in and look to potentially break the enemy bottom goal zone there, right? The Lucario looks like he's trying to play from top. The Garchomp looks like he's trying to play from top, and you might go, hang on a minute, well, what the heck's the Mew doing, right? Why is the Mew all the way back here at this particular time? He should be in the center. How dare he be, no, not quite. Have a look at his level, right? Mew is sitting at level 12. There's a good chance Mew is going to hit level 13 here, and I really hope he hits level 13. Otherwise, I'm going to look like a right doofus here, because, I'm assuming Mew's taking this farm. They're trying to play this fight slow because level 13 is a very, very big power spike for Mew. And we're going to see how close he actually does get to that level. But you can see the positioning here, right? The Eldegoss is staying fairly close to his team, making sure, that they're in a decent enough spot there. It's a low score game and they know that they're losing, so they're probably going to have to make a play. Have a look at the defensive positioning from the red team. Lucario is playing from the top side to give vision and defend the pad. Dodrio is playing from the bottom side, again, looking to defend the pad. He's got his Unite move to quickly get into that central area if needed, and he can also do a quick peel for a back cap if these three in the center are providing the vision, right? If these three here in the center, if they're providing the vision and they go, yep, all five here, Dodrio might be able to do a quick back up and they can, look to full back or they can look to engage a fight. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they can do, but that's how we want to play our 5-stacks, right? So you can see there's some... so Mew, very, very close level 13. That's what Mew is trying to hit, right? So they're playing it slow because Mew level 13 is a very, very nice power spike. And they're trying to dodge the snipes because, so as soon as a snipe is landed, that gives the other team a very good objective, right? So the Inteleon's landing some deadly snipe shots here. But you can see it's very similar to how we laid out the Rayquaza fight before. And so now have a look at the Dodrio. The Dodrio's gone, Do I peel for a back cap or do I try and engage in on the enemy? The Inteleon would be screaming, going, yep, I've hit the Mew, he's low. He puts in 30 and then looks to run away. So a little bit of a small score there, but you can see how very calculated this is. And have a look at the positioning. They look to backpedal away, the red team, and the Dotre is looking for that, right? And now look at the Garchomp. He's going, yep, not much is happening on that top side. I'm going to start pulling the Ray, to try and get the enemy team to come into this objective because they want to pull a team fight, and there's only a minute left. Not a lot has happened. So he's hitting this objective going, you're better get into the central area and take on a fight. Otherwise, we're just going to rip and take this objective to ourselves. So very calculated decision there, and that's exactly what happens there, right? Then the Garchomp looks to take out this fight, but it actually looks like it's going in favor of the blue team here. They've actually got quite a lot of knockouts. So yeah, very, very cool game. We can see all those things got, I guess, showcased in this final, in this final fight. They played exactly, I guess, how we sort of laid out the Rayquaza fight earlier, in the previous timestamp. But yeah, they actually end up getting team wipe. So yeah, look, cool game. But you can see all of this stuff gets put, they're communicating it all. They're talking about it all. And this is very, very different to your typical solo queue matches. So 5 stacking is a different beast, and it requires a lot of good communication, a lot of matchup understanding, and a lot of strategizing from the 10-minute mark right through to the 0-minute mark in terms of where should you be, how can I utilize my skills and my power spikes to help everybody else on my team. So for the final part of this, I guess, A to Z course is we're going to talk about drafting. Now, this comes straight off of the back of 5 stacking and playing as a 5. So this is probably going to be more of a general concept to understand if you're new to playing in a 5 stack. If you're fairly good at 5 stack or you play competitive or stuff like that, you're probably going to know a lot more than I do in terms of, drafting. So if you do, feel free to comment anything down below and say, hang on, you probably might have done this or that or the next thing, right? I'm just going to give some core general rules for drafting that I think most teams and most 5 stacks who aren't playing at that top competitive level, they should be following this to get better draft picks and better teams overall. So I'm going to talk about the left-hand side and the right-hand side team and kind of how both want to be considering their drafting. First things first, you want to ban stuff that is annoying for your supporters or your potential carries, like the composition that you generally want to go for, right? If you want to play around Petal Dance Venusaur, have a think about what's very annoying for a Petal Dance Venusaur. That's right, a lot of CC and a lot of stunning. So something like a Buzzwole would be really, really annoying to displace your, when you're engaging in that fight. I know they run a full heal, but you only get that one every 50 seconds. Another one might be a Leafeon, right? A Leafeon just doing the extreme burst damage, especially after you've been stunned. That's enough to delete you. So you have to think about this kind of stuff, and that dictates what you want to ban. But the general rule of thumb is that you want to ban stuff that's really, really strong in lane. So if you're versing someone who's good at Buzzwole, you need to take that off the map. If you're versing someone that's really good with Blastoise, you need to get rid of that. If you're versing someone that's really good with Leafeon, you need to get rid of that as well, right? These are our highest ban rate Pokemon for a good reason, because in the right hands and with the right team support early, they can just cause absolute chaos, right? So in terms of a final ban pick, let's say if these are the bans, they might go, considering these guys have got first pick, and in this case, it's likely that they're probably going to pick a tank. And that tank, in this case, if it's not Blastoise, it's probably going to be Trevenant. It's maybe not the best idea for us to ban Slowbro, because Slowbro is really good into Trevenant. You can just scold it, and it reduces the amount of mobility and damage and stuff that a Trevenant can do. So it kind of forces that Trevenant to play a tank role. And also Slowbro is just a very, very good tank pick overall. You might even want to ban Trevenant, but that kind of does leave you not many options with good tanks, and they might just say, yep, we're going to take Umbreon, or we're going to take Crustle straight away, and that kind of forces you to play a particular tank, and they've got 4 picks to be able to dictate what they want to do there. So these are all things that you need to take into consideration and discuss with your team as a 5 stack. I would probably keep it safe and just ban something that might be annoying for the team composition that you're going for. Mimikyu is really annoying if you're versing a lot of if you want to use dive comp and the other team picks Mimikyu, that's really annoying for you. So if you ban Mimikyu, it kind of gives both of these teams the option to be able to use a dive composition here. So now the left team picks first because they did the first ban, and I'm going to pause and let you have a think about, what do you think is the best draft in this situation? So assuming you've had a chance to think, I would absolutely say you want to have a flex carry or a flex tank. In this case, it's Trevenant. Trevenant is a very, very strong. You can play this Pokemon in the bottom lane, or you can play it in the top lane as a tank or a top lane carry, right? So very good first pick as a draft, very flexible, make it very difficult for the other team to pick here. And it kind of forces them to pick a supporter straight off the bat. I'd probably say in this case, I'd turn around and go, well, I don't want to verse Eldegoss and Trevenant because that's very, very tough to deal with. So they might pick Eldegoss and they might pick their tank, right? Why wouldn't you pick your carry Pokemon in this particular slot? I'll just let you have a think about that for a moment. So you don't want to pick your carry Pokemon because the left-hand side has got 4 potential counter picks. If you decide to pick something that's, like a Scizor, right? Or, that's a Scyther. It gives this team a lot of options to be able to counterpick what you're going to be doing there. So I'd keep it fairly straightforward. I'd pick your tank first, and that gives your team 3 other picks to be very flexible, because if you don't pick your tank here, then you're kind of forced to pick it down here. I would probably be going with Crustle. That way you don't have to verse Inteleon with Trevenant frontlining, because that could be very, very difficult for, this team to handle here. So now, if you're this team on the left, you go, okay, we don't have Eldegoss, we don't have Crustle. There's 2 options that you can do here. I'm going to pause and let you have a think about what those 2 options of drafting might be. So assuming you've had a chance to think about that, you've got Mage and Support. These are the 2 picks that you could do here. You're definitely not picking your jungler here because these guys have got 3 other counter picks here, right? So you want to pick your carry or your jungler Pokemon generally last in the pick, and that's why it's nice to have a flex pick up here first. So a nice draft here might be, well, Mew's really good against these 2. He's not going to get caught by the walls. If you picked Inteleon, you might get caught by the walls. If you pick Glaceon, you might get caught by the walls. If you pick something like an Espeon, you could potentially get caught by these walls or get caught by this A pressing. So that might be a little bit challenging for you. As well as that, if you go Espeon, you don't really have the burst damage to be able to deal with the amount of healing that Eldegoss is going to provide for the team. So in this case, I'd probably go, look, Espeon's perfectly fine. It's a really, really good mage. Or you could go Mew. I would probably be considering Mew and Hooper, right? That way it leaves you with a potential tank or top lane carry, depending on what the other team reveals here, right? Because you've still got Trevenant as a flex pick. You could have picked a tank here, right? The other option could have been you pick your tank and you pick your mage, meaning that you've got your support here. And the reason why that's kind of helpful is because, well, you're not threatened by them picking Hooper here. So Hooper's always going to be an option. But generally, it's best practice to keep your carry characters last, so it gives the other team less chance to counterpick what your team is going to be doing. So, but a key option here could have been Comfey and Zoroark as last pick, because if you know they've only got 1 pick left and it's a very good Comfey Zoroark game, then that could be a very, very scary draft to try and deal with, right? So that kind of leaves that there. Now, this team here, they might go, okay, well, we need to pick our top lane carry and we need to pick our mage, right? Our mage, they might go, yep, this seems like a pretty good game for Espeon. Espeon Unite move is, decent against these guys here. If the Hooper Unite moves, you can kind of catch that Hooper or catch the enemy team coming out of those portals if you're going to eject yourself into a dangerous position. Also, it works well with his Unite move and his Unite move as well. So Espeon's a pretty good pick here. And then I'd probably be considering my top lane carry. What goes well into this team composition? I mean, you could go Petal Dance Venusaur, but Petal Dance Venusaur against the amount of range here is not exactly fantastic. You've got your mage here. You could potentially go Mystical Fire Sylveon in the top lane if you wanted to. That way you've got a very strong top lane and a very strong bottom lane. And if you go Mystical Fire Sylveon, you're actually giving your team the option to just jungle split and then pick a top lane carry as a kind of final pick here, or potentially so that is an option. But honestly, if you're playing it as safe and sound as you possibly could, I would be going with my top lane carry. And in the options that you've got left, you've got like Lucario, you've got Metagross, you've got Machamp, you've got Gyarados, you've got a potential Lapras, right? You could play tank. I think considering how strong your bottom lane is, and you've got an Eldegoss to support, if you're good at Gyarados, you could potentially take Gyarados to the top lane, but that kind of forces you to play something very, very good as a jungler to help get that top lane online as quickly as possible. So, so far it's a pretty good team composition minus the Gyarados early. But if you can get that Gyarados online early, get some stacks in, maybe get a kill in the top lane, your team could very, very quickly run away with the game. So then you go over to this left-hand side and you go, okay, what are our drafts going to be here? Well, I'm going to pause here and just let you think about, what do you think are good options? You've got a top lane carry and you've got a jungler. So in this particular game here, these guys are very close range. They don't have a lot of long range, which means that it's and this team also lacks secure. So if you just go something with very, and you've got Mew, so you could go Lucario and Dragonite. You take Lucario to top lane and Dragonite to the central area. Not only have you got fantastic secure, you've got Hooper supporting everybody on the team phenomenally well. You've got incredible tank in the bottom lane. Your bottom lane is just fantastic. Your top lane is fantastic. And your jungler comes online at level 8 with a decent enough gank. And if the Lucario gets online early, as well as that, yeah, this is like a really, really strong team composition, because if you get ahead on score, it makes it almost, it makes it very, very tricky for this right-hand side team to kind of get back into the game. Especially considering the secure you've got with this team. So, and a fantastic team fight potential. So, honestly, a pretty strong draft on the side of the left-hand side team, but the right-hand side team has also got a draft as well. And then if you were final picking here, you'd probably go, well, like, you're not so great of a game for something like a Zoroark or something like that. You might want something that is a little bit brawly, or you might consider something, because the only assassin here is Lucario, so you might consider something with incredibly long range. You might go, let's go Venusaur in the jungle, because you've got the front lining of Gyarados, Crustle, and Eldegoss, and they're going to be a nice strong fort as well. And you can get a lot of burst damage with this guy here, right? So this is an example of a very strong draft. I'm just going to very, very quickly show you where the left-hand side team is drafting very well and the right-hand side team makes some poor draft options. So let's say we take the same bands here. So we've got Blastoise, Buzzwole, Leafeon, and a Mimikyu. They're all banned, right? So these guys are going to do probably a similar thing here. Trevenant would be a very, very good draft because, like we talked about, it's a very strong flex pick, that you can take top lane or you can go into the bottom lane as a tank. Now, these guys are really keen on using Zoroark, so they go, we're going to pick Zoroark and we're going to pick Comfey. Where's Comfey? Right? And so now the left-hand side team goes, oh, well, that's fantastic. We're going to turn him into a top lane tank, and who's a very good Pokemon against Zoroark and Comfey? In case you might not have picked it up at this point, Slowbro is a very good pick because you can unite with the Zoroark and you're kind of getting 2 for the price of 1. So now you've got your tank and now you've got your top lane carry. And then you could also pick something like an Eldegoss. So now you've got an incredibly strong top lane, and you've also hidden your mage and your jungle pick. And now at this point, the right-hand side team is more or less forced to pick. Yeah, well, I mean, look, they've got mage, they've got top lane carry, and they've got defender. So their defender options are very limited. They're kind of forced to pick Crustle or Umbreon. So I'm going to say, let's say they pick Crustle because they're trying to trap these guys into walls, put them in a tricky spot for the Zoroark to come and dive on. And then they also want to have good backline damage considering they've got quite a decent frontline and assassin kind of pick here. So they're going to go with something like a Glaceon, right? Just to try and rip these tanks down and do as much as they possibly can here. The only weakness with something like this is that your Zoroark's kind of forced to take the entire jungle, meaning that you've got a Glaceon in the bottom lane. So another option from Glaceon might have been Leafeon, but you want something probably to rip those tanks' HP down as quickly as possible. And I think Glaceon probably does that the best. So now these guys have got mage and they've got jungle. They've got very, very strong option for mage. I'd probably say something like Espeon. That way you can also unite with the Zoroark and the Comfey coming in. That's going to be very, very challenging for this kind of to deal with. So now all of a sudden we've got 1 and 2 Pokemon who have definitely countered the early draft of the Zoroark Comfey there. So you can see why you generally don't want to draft these Pokemon early. You want to draft them later on. Hopefully that kind of concept is kicking in. and yeah, they might go, well, now we've got such fantastic front line. We've got good, mid-range here. We don't want to pick something too squishy in the back line, but we want to make sure that we've got some good secure. So they might say, we're going to go Venusaur. Okay, they could have gone that, but they've also got the option to go something like a Sylveon with jungle split and, do like some incredible things here. Yeah, early game that could be very, very scary if they went Sylveon and Espeon there as well. So, and that kind of forces these guys, they're more or less, so now these guys are more or less forced to pick their top lane carry at this stage. And yeah, I'd maybe say, well, we need maybe a bit of secure. You can't, you need something with the, that can also utilize this Comfey a little bit. And you might go something like a Blaziken, for example. Where's Blaziken? Blaziken's right here. So you might go Blaziken as your final pick there. The right-hand side obviously getting a worse off draft just because they've tried to pick these too early, and now there's a lot of counter picks, and the left-hand side team has definitely gotten the benefit from the drafting process there, playing in their competitive matches. So guys, that brings this course more or less to an end. If you got some value, please do drop a like. Consider sharing it with some of your friends. If you're playing in a 5-stack, you guys will get some value, just taking some key principles from this and then discussing and making them your own as your team, right? So hopefully this resource was valuable. Drop a like, share it, drop a comment, suggest any feedback on any of these chapters, and I will happily pin them if they are beneficial for the majority of people. Have a good one and enjoy.